Is the stock market going to go lower, or have we found a bottom? This is the million-dollar question, my friends. Is it time to start buying stocks? Have we found a bottom? We're gonna take a look at some charts right here in this video and discuss the idea that maybe, possibly, there's a bottom, or maybe we're going lower. Let's get a good idea by looking at the chart, where the support, where the resistance is, and break it all down right here in this video. So make sure you guys stay tuned.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Patrick here. Like I said, everybody wants to know, right? Like, are we going to go lower? Have we reached the bottom? Is it time to get long? Is the bear market over? I wish I had the answer. If I had that answer, I would be the million-dollar man with a million-dollar plan. But instead, all I have is the chart. Right now, the QQQ kind of closing, filling that gap, a little bit of a gap in the chart here today, and closing at the 283s. If we kind of zoom in here, the next support would be, I'd say, 270 level here on this pullback. So the idea here is we get a double bottom, we pull back to the 270 area, and then we kind of go like this. We go rip, rip, and then rip, and then rip, like that. That would be kind of a bullish case, a bullish idea. Even if the market pulls back this week, that we would bounce off this level, that 270 level, and then we start to push it back up. The problem with that idea is if we go and we zoom out, we have this overall kind of downward channel that we're in right now. And a lot of people are thinking that there's a good possibility for the Nasdaq, for the QQQ here, to get down to the $200 level. If we go back and we kind of look previously where we have support at these levels, we have support at 261, kind of previously bouncing there, 261. This is back in September of 2020. And then if we go all the way back to kind of let's say like pandemic levels, that 170, $200, yeah, I mean 170 would be that level to watch here if we pulled back. So 175 would be kind of where we were pandemic wise on that drop. If you look at the overall move here on that pandemic drop, it's looking very similar. If we zoom in here, this did happen a lot faster, but we did have, you know, that big pullback, and then we had the bounce for kind of that fake out bounce back up for the rally, and then we continue to sell, and then I would say we almost kind of looked like that, very similar to where we are now. So we kind of re-pulled back and tested that 181 area after pulling back. Hey, if you guys enjoy these videos, do me one big favor, hit that like button, subscribe button. Also, if you want to learn more about the broker that I'm using for buying options, for buying stocks long term, I'm using the Interactive Brokers app. There's a link down below. You can check them out. They've also got a new scanner that's free as well, the Global Scanner. They've got the Global Trader app. A lot of stuff going on with Interactive Brokers. There's a link down below. Check them out. So looking here at the weekly chart, kind of where we are, it looks pretty good for the idea of, I'd say, the QQQ getting down to that 269 level here. I mean, that looks pretty promising for that move, especially after today's close. And the idea would be that the Nasdaq, the QQQ, would get down here to 269, 270 level, and then, you know, we'd be looking for that kind of double bottom at that point. The problem is, you can see previously we had, I would say, this support area there, you know, at the 280s, 283 level. Yeah, pretty much 280s. And we broke down, but we did kind of bounce off that. Then we gapped down, a massive gap down, and broke down there. You know, realistically here, I would say we're still very much in a bear market by looking at the overall trend and kind of where we are this week, especially after today. The market down 3% on the day for the Nasdaq, the SPY down 2% on the day. If we look at the SPY chart here, if we pull up the weekly chart for the SPY, kind of almost the same exact setup here. The idea of this kind of just trending lower, getting stuck there, not being able to break to the upside, and then moving down here. Again, I would say this area, that 362, was kind of previously support, resistance there. So, I mean, really, this is looking pretty much like textbook for this to kind of just continue to move down here. You know, obviously the million-dollar question now is, do we hold this 360 level? I don't think we're just going to go magically just straight up, and I think the last few days have been a pretty good example of that. Today, with that big overall sell-up, with that big overall sell-off today, you know, the Fed is raising rates. There's the idea of inflation. The overall economy is kind of very interesting where we're at. You know, there's a lot of headwind here for the overall market. I'm just not thinking that we just magically are going to just bounce, you know, off of this level and then we're done. Think about it. We really only went down about 22% from the all-time highs down there to the 366 level. So, I mean, there's still lots of room to go to the downside before, you know, really like the end of the world here. And that would put the SPY, like I think, we had this previous area on the SPY here, which would have been kind of that double bottom, that W there, that had that big move after kind of bouncing off that 320 level. I think this is an overall pretty good target. Like I think 320 on the SPY is a pretty good target here to think of a possible bottom. Right now, I just don't think we're at that level. Like I don't think we just magically are going to just skyrocket from here and break the upside. As long as we're in this overall downward trend, it's a bear market, right? Like it's a bear market. There's no reason for me to really get excited to get long just yet. Until we get a big close above this area, I'd say the SPY needs to get back above $400 and break out to the upside before really even thinking about like, oh, okay, I want to get short or I want to get long. Before I even really think about starting to get long again. From the years of trading and kind of seeing how the market moves, I just don't feel like the market's going to just magically just stop right there at that level, that 360 level, and then just go higher. I think there's a much better chance that the market kind of pulls down here and then maybe we push up from there. Again, that 360 would need to hold. If the 360 level can't hold, well, then 320 would be pretty much spot on right there for the SPY. And again, you're focused on some of the bigger sell-offs in the past. I don't really like the pandemic's kind of a tricky one because we just had that massive sell-off on the weekly. But if we go and we kind of look, previously, like back in 2015, we had kind of a chop and we pushed up and then sold off again. But in general, most of the time the market, when it sells off, we kind of retest those levels, those previous levels, bouncing off those levels before, making that move higher. So I'm definitely thinking that we're going to retest, I'd say a minimum, we're going to retest that 360, 362 level here on the SPY before breaking to the upside and possibly getting a bull market to start again. There's people that are bullish for the end of the year. There's people that are bearish for the end of the year. But right now, I think all that matters really is these key levels. 362 on the SPY, and then that 320 area after that being the next support. So there it is. Based off of the chart alone, are we still in a bear market? Yes, we're very much still in a bear market. We've had a little bounce recently. We thought, oh, the bottom's in. Everybody got all excited. But you can clearly see here that we're still in a overall, downward trend. We're still moving lower, and pretty much just in this overall downward trend right now. So there's really no reason to start getting long until we either retest this 360 level and we think like, okay, we're starting to bounce off 360 again. This is a possible kind of double bottom area. We bounce there and then we get that move. But you can see, even earlier this year, we kind of sold off. We bounced up. We sold off again. We retested that level, that 420s. We pushed all the way back up to the 460s and then boom, got hammered down once again. And then very similar to this move from the 380s, pushed up 420 area and then kind of retested it and then gapped below it. So, just because that area bounced before does not mean it's going to bounce for the second or the third or the fourth time. So it'll be very interesting to kind of see. I think we're going to get a lot of kind of whipsaw action either way, choppy action, kind of just indecision. Like we're not at a point like where the world's ending and we think, it's going to end and the market's going to go to zero. But we're in this space where a lot of people are thinking, that we're going to go lower and there's a possible lower move here. So a lot of people are kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting for that confirmation, waiting for that move. And I think, retesting that 360 area would be a very kind of bullish move to the downside. 360 area kind of bounces, 362 bounces on the SPY. And then we'll see, like, do we get tight? That could be, a possibility as well. Like, do we get tight at that level before pushing higher? In general, I think we're just going to need to retest that area here. Hold support, and then maybe, possibly, then we go and start thinking about a bull market. But also, maybe we're like in a longer term bear market here. It's only been a few months. Let's give it a little bit of time here. Let's not get too excited. I think the best thing to do is just sit back, wait, watch, and let the market kind of figure out which way it wants to go before, getting too crazy. You can see, previously that big bounce up, that big green candle on the weekly, everyone got all excited, and then bam, got hammered down that previous, the following week from the 415 area back below 400. So this candle right here, it's only Tuesday. There's a good possibility that we could retest that 365, 362 level, this week alone. Even from here, it's only about a 4%, 5% move down. So we get two more red days in a row here, 2% red days to the downside. We'll be down there at 362 pretty quick. And this weekend is 4th of July, so we'll have a 3-day weekend. People, maybe they don't want to be long through the weekend. Maybe that'll help with the selling. GDP numbers are coming out tomorrow as well. So It'll really depend tomorrow as well. If we get some good GDP numbers somehow magically, I don't think that's going to happen. I think, you know, there's a very much of a bear case here in the sense that there's a better case for this to go lower before it goes higher. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. GDP numbers come out. Does the market get murdered? Do we bounce? We'll kind of see where this week ends up. I mean, it's only Tuesday, so we still got 3 more days for these weekly candles to kind of figure out which way they want to go. And at the end of the day, I still think we're in a bear market. I don't think it's over. I don't think magically the market just went, boom, we're back into a bull market. Let's give it a little bit more time before getting too excited. I think the best thing to do is if you're going to start buying stocks, to kind of just slowly start averaging in. You know, you don't need to go out and put all of your money into the market today. You can slowly start dollar cost averaging. Find the stocks that you see value in, and then just slowly start buying. You know, every week, maybe buy a few shares, maybe invest a couple $100, depending on what your strategy is. But, you know, there's really no reason to go all in just yet. Let's wait. Like, give it a little more time, a little bit more patience. You want to get paid in this market, you got to have patience, my friends. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe button, all the buttons down below. I'll talk to you guys later on.
Yeah.